welcome to this tutorial here. So, in this particular case, I have a character here and I have some animation, or actually just a bunch of poses, and those poses live on a different skeleton, which I referenced, and I referenced it with namespaces, torso and legs. And this character I have here, it has no namespace. So what I want to do right now is I want to transfer the animation from this legs and torso onto my character. So the question is, how can I do this now? I know the skeletons are the same, but there is those namespaces here. So I can do this by constraining one by one without offset. But that's going to be hell. Instead, I'm just going to script it. So I have, actually, it seems like my character also has legs and torso namespace. It's just lowercase compared to the capital. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to script this. So let's see if I can get it done. So here, I'm just going to basically start with the torso maybe. And I'm just going to make it work on selection. So select hierarchy. That's going to select me all my joints. But then it also selects me some kind of a constraint here. So I'm not too happy about that. Basically, first thing I need to do is I need to select only the joints in this selected root. So what I'm going to do is import from Maya, import CMDS. That's how I start my scripts. And then I'm going to just get my root joint. Root joint equals CMDS ls selection equals true. So that's going to get me the selected joint I have right now. Or I could just hard code it. Instead, I could just do torso root. And then I want to get all the children from this. So to get all the children, I'm going to get children equals CMDS list relatives. And then I'm just going to get the children of the root joint. And I'm going to say all descendants equals true. And I'm going to say type equals joint. And that should get me all the child joints in this root. But I also want to include the root. Maybe I need it. So I'm just going to add a list consisting of just root joint, because this command will return me a list of joints. So if I sum it with another list, I'm going to get the list of all the joints I want. So to test it, let's just make a little for loop for joint in children. Or in this case, it's not just children, it's the whole joint. So let's just say torso joints. For joint in torso joints, and I'm just going to print it. So colon, 4 spaces, print joint. Let's see what it's going to print. So as I can see, it printed me all the joints exactly as I wanted with the root in the end. So that's perfect. I got all my joints for this particular skeleton. Now, for every single joint in this skeleton, I want to constrain to this skeleton, which has those poses without offset. So let's see how's that going to work. So I need to first find the source skeleton. So I'm going to say source joint equals joint replace, and the difference I can see naming here is lowercase torso and uppercase torso. So I'm going to do torso replace with torso. So that way I have my source joint and my target joint. So I could even print it too if I wanted to print, and I can use f-string formatting, which is my favorite, by the way. So here I'm just going to say source joint, and I want to show what it's going to be retargeting to. I'm going to say joint. So source joint, target joint. So I could even replace the name of this variable if I wanted to. I can do target joint, and here I can also do that and do here target joint. So let's see what that's going to replace me and what it's going to return. So here I can see that it's going to retarget this to this, and they're all matching and they're all printed like this. Okay, so let's just get to it. So how do I retarget? Well, I'm just going to parent constraint without offset. Parent constraint, and I'm going to constrain my source joint to target joint. So first, the target joint is the joint that I want to use as a source. Sorry, I'm lying. Source joint. And then target joint is the one that's going to be following. Now I could do maintain offset equals true, but that's going to retain the pose difference here, which I don't want. So I'm just going to either do false or skip the flag completely. And if I run this script now, what's going to happen is, as you can see, it just moved my character torso to snap to that skeleton pose. Now, for some reason, it didn't work well on one of the joints. And the joint that didn't work is this joint, which is the spine joint, because this joint is actually constrained to the spine control, which I have here. So that's something specific in my rig. But if I disable that spine control effect, I'm going to get exactly that. So there you go. So that retargets the animation perfectly well. Now, if I want to, I can do the same for the legs. So in this case, I'm just going to duplicate this code and maybe just, or I could open a new tab, but I'm just going to paste it here. And I'm going to add a comment here called legs, because I also want the legs taken care of. Normally you wouldn't have to, but I'm just having this weird system where my legs are separate from the torso for some reason that I thought it was making sense. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. We'll see in the future. Anyway, legs. So I'm just basically replacing that, and that should already do it, in my opinion. So let's run it and see if that works too. And as you can see, it worked as well. So now I'm having my animation completely retargeted. So that's nice. Now what? How does that help me? So it helps me because what I can do now is I can grab all those joints by just selecting the Kyra key. And I can do keys, bake simulation. And I can bake all the selected channels. So here, if I just reset settings, the default setting will bake me this animation on those joints. So now those joint has been keys, has been keyed. And now I don't need those guys anymore. So I can just remove them if I want to. Reference editor, I can just remove that reference. And I can also remove that reference. And what I'm ending up with is my animation is still working and it's baked onto that skeleton. So this is like a very simple way to retarget. And now what I can do is I can attach a rig to my character dynamically, and then create IK controllers for the legs and arms. And my rig can then match those poses, and I can just tweak this animation easily. So that's the next step that I'll do. But I thought that this would be something useful for you guys. And if you want this code, I can send you that code. I think this is enough for this tutorial. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know if you find this interesting or if you have any questions in the comments.